We'll bring you a discussion that, speaks of what's going on right now. We all know the story about the 16 hunters who were lynched in Edo State, Uromi precisely. They were on their way to celebrate the Salah celebration in Kano, and they were stopped by vigilantes on the Uromi roads, and some back and forth happened, and thereafter they were lynched and killed. And it's quite unprecedented and quite shocking what has happened. There's still some, back and forth still being mouthed. We've seen threats from social media and some groups, faceless ones at the very best. Those threats apparently are threats that everyone, are taken seriously, giving our antecedent, giving where we're coming from. Security agencies are also on the trail of those who have made those threats. Hopefully, we'll see some actions. But again, the Edo State government was in Kano State to commiserate with the families of those who've lost their life in that particular tragic incident. The Kano State government is saying clearly that, please, that must be a measure of justice served on those who perpetrated that evil. But to discuss this even further, with us is Wordshort Amaechi Ugwele. He is a head documentation unit at Ada Foundation. He would give us an interesting perspective to this discourse. Thank you so much, Wordshort, for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Let me say that the foundation of what happened in Edo State was laid long time ago, but of course it was dug deeper and very much deeper to the consciousness, awareness, and chagrin of everybody, nearly every Nigerian who witnessed the way the past administration of President Muhammad Buhari handled the issues of the killer herdsmen and the farmers, and of course the communities that were being displaced, pillaged, with all sorts of atrocities perpetrated against the indigenous people by these people who, of course, everyone else were united in their demand for stronger, very strict and decisive action from the government that never was coming. Instead, the government we saw, even Mr. President himself, that is President Buhari, openly soliciting for accommodation, understanding, absorption, and integration of these people, strangers, people who were unpretentious about their determination to exterminate indigenous population, chase them away from their place, displace them permanently, and take over their communities. And then we also had Femi Adesina, a spokesperson for the president, telling Benue people during the height of the Agato crisis to choose between their lives and their land. So you see, law enforcement, official response to issues like this, especially that of security, play a lot of role in shaping, the response of citizens to the challenges that they face about security. Because it was very clear to them that the government was actually not interested in what the victims go through. The government was not interested in the implications of these ceaseless attacks, the rapes, the pillaging, the looting, the burning of communities and displacement of these people. It mattered nothing to the government, meant nothing to the government. Instead, you could see a kind of subterranean determination by the government to tamper with the demography of the country by telling Nigerians that people they do not know must be accommodated at even the terms of the invaders, who most of the time and more often than not were through violence. I am not saying that people should not be wherever they want to be as Nigerians, if you are Nigerians truly. But what I'm saying is that you can go to a place, and you must always go to a place in accordance with what the law dictates, being very sensitive to the cultural norms of those places. Okay, they told us that, yes, you must accommodate them. Accommodate who? Your neighbors. Buhari called them your neighbors. Could anybody have been a neighbor who was in the habit of killing your people? Or whose mission was to exterminate your people? Whose mission was to, to displace you? Take over your farmlands? The way the cattle is important to the herder is the way the crops are important to the farmer. The farmer already has his place. Then the wandering herder came around. Tell me wherever in the world that this kind of practice is still retained, not to talk of being encouraged. There has not been any way that the government has not tried to ram down the throat of Nigerians. This issue of preferring the welfare and the practice of outdated mode of herding cattle to down the throats of Nigerians. You saw all the brouhaha brought by the Roga policy of the federal government. When Nigerians resisted it, they went back, re-strategized, and then retabled it again as a national livestock transformation program. Nigerians still said no. The next thing we saw was National Water Resources Bill. And in all of this, you could see that the attention of the government, the intention of Buhari's government was just the same thing. How could these Fulani people take possession of land, spaces that were not theirs? The people who are resisting them are not doing so because they don't want strangers in their midst. But the terms of reception, settling down, all of that has to be well defined. If you are visiting my place, if you are coming to stay in my place, are you leasing? Are you renting? Are you buying this accommodation? And if you are buying, the terms of the lease will be well spelled out. You will know that it doesn't belong to you, that you are just a tenant. You will know that it's in this place you have come to, that there are people here, and there are certain things they do. They are farmers, and they are not, get it. So the foundation of this thing was laid, in fact, dug deeper by previous administration. And I say this with all sense of seriousness and responsibility because Nigerians have become frustrated. When there is lopsidedness, when there is unwillingness on the government part to enforce the law, especially when it has to do with a particular group of people, what you see is increasing frustration that could inevitably lead to self-help. Okay, look at the immediate thing that happened in Oromi. Because as the government continued to encourage these people, as the government continued to be very accommodating to their whims, okay, which of course tends to be against certain people, and of course the majority of Nigerians, the people now continue to react in a way that shows their helplessness, their frustration, and their determination to protect themselves by their own means and devices, if the government is not willing to do anything. Okay, and because these people know that the government is encouraging them, what are they doing? They are having increased sense of, entitlement. Increased sense of entitlement. Now, what actually escalated the situation in Oromi? What escalated the situation in the first place? How practicable and normal is it for people, a group of people, to leave faraway Kano State, to go down to the extreme part of the country, Port Harcourt, almost opposite end of the country, that you are going on a hunting expedition in a country with already volatile security situation where kidnappings, and the invasion of communities are rife, occurring on daily basis. Now, you went with guns, whether you call it day gun, whether you call it Christmas gun, whatever, gun is gone. And I don't think there's anybody will face with any kind of gun and then you will fight the person. Gun is gone. And these vigilantes have seen guns. Now, in the process of wanting them to explain themselves according to reports. One of the outside persons drew his dagger and stabbed the other person. If it is not a sense of entitlement, tell me what will encourage, embolden somebody who has been discovered, found out by security people with guns to attack a security person. Are you telling me that if it was a policeman that you stabbed, that the policeman will not shoot you dead? Why? So it is that sense. I am condemning totally the killings, but I just want us to know that these things are not happening in a vacuum. I want us to know, just like when the same Buhari government was talking about hate speech, they forgot that hate speech was actually a product of hate behaviors and hate actions from the government and from some people. That this thing you are tagging hate speech is just mere response from the people who can no longer bear, the frustration of your actions that are actually provoking their reactions and responses. So, if the guy who stabbed somebody, a security personnel that stopped you, to demand from you an explanation as to how you are moving. And let me ask you, my brother, what do you think would happen if I, an Igbo man now, would arm myself with a group of other Igbos, hire a vehicle, and enter this vehicle that we are going to the north, or we are coming from Kano with guns, and they discover you? I'm talking about a place where people see vehicles carrying beer, and they seize them, destroy them with frenzy, like they've discovered bombs. Okay? And the same people who are destroying this alcohol will turn around to tell you that they should get more from VAT generated from alcohol consumption. So you see things of entitlement arising from skewed and lopsided approach in law enforcement and even policy made and implementation of government, as if the government is totally existing to favor a particular group of people. As long as you continue to allow certain injustice to thrive, you are continuously driving people towards self-help.
Yeah, but again, there wasn't any news about Urome community complaining about.
Oh, no. Kidnapping and no. You see, kidnappers. Who are the kidnappers? Most of the submissions, testimonies, and accounts of victims have always told you that these look like herdsmen. I'm not saying that I don't want to profile anybody, but you see, I am from Nsukka. I travel with my heart on my mouth. I find it any time that I have any reason to travel through this Nsukka road, I undergo a session of praise and worship. I'm telling you to ask God.
To Nsukka.
Exactly.
Just to go to Nsukka.
Exactly. And who are the people doing it? Of course, I'm not exculpating the collaboration of the locals, but I'm telling you that these are mostly Fulani people, herdsmen. If these people were in their ranches, because the government refused to allow ranches to exist, they preferred an outdated mode of doing business. You want to do your business, and you are asking me to surrender my land, that you must have a grazing routes through my own property that I used to, produce the farm produce that I eat and sell, my own business. Now, if they were contained in a place, would there have been any need for anybody to be roaming the forest? And some of the victims have told us that they boast, the whole forest belongs to us. We do whatever we like here. Now look at what the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, once said. Yes, who is saying that the header should not be armed, that they stay in the bush. Is the government inside the bush? So are you now telling me that the Nigerian bushes are no longer, territories that the government should oversee and provide security for? Okay? Now, that they have to have these guns. You have your guns, no problem. But are you having this gun to protect your cow in your land? Now I'm in my own land as a farmer, and you believe that the law, no law by the way, has empowered anybody to hold these guns. I have not seen anywhere, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think there's any part of the Nigerian constitution that says a Fulani header, or any person for that matter, should possess an AK-47 or anything to move around because you have your cows. And when you now encounter me in my own land, tending my crops, you graze your animals into my to feed them. Haven't you seen videos in the social media trending where these people deliberately, it's not just that the cattle pass through this place, but they deliberately uproot this cassava, yam, okay, cut them into pieces and feed their cows. And they are boasting, making videos, posting them in the social media, daring people to do whatever they like. And have you ever heard that there is any one single herdsman that is in prison in Enugu? Anywhere, all the places that these attacks are occurring, it's happening in Hamufu. You saw the women protesting that they are being raped, they are being killed, no protection. And it's not as if they don't know who are responsible for these attacks. They said these are Fulani herdsmen. What has anybody done about it? I believe even the governors are helpless. Because of course you know that the powers of the governors to enforce certain security in their domain goes as far as the Abuja people are willing to let them go. Some of them will call and they will not take your call. And when you call and talk about what the activities of the herdsmen, they will tell you to stay action. Some victims, even in Plateau, Benue, have recounted. Even former Governor Tom has told Nigerians that these people sought to kill him. Why? Because he said, don't graze in our land. That sometimes they will attack a community where the community people mobilize to go after and defend themselves, to chase them away. And the military will come in and prevent them from acting. Before you know it, they could even turn against them. So all these things are what gradually kept growing until the people have found themselves where now what do you do? Okay, look at about the man in Adamawa State that was handed down a death sentence. For what? This man was in his farm and the header deliberately headed his cows into this man's farm, attacked him, stabbed him, wanted to kill him. Because this man was lucky and stronger, he took the knife from him to defend himself. A fight has already broken out. And you know, you go into a fight with psychological sense of justice. Me, in my own house, many people are willing to die defending themselves in their homes, in their property. And it is a universal right of every individual that your home is inviolable. Anybody who comes to your home to violate you, if you die defending yourself, you died a noble death. So you can imagine, but look at the cheekiness. Somebody will come to your place and say you must surrender. That's armed robbery. That's terrorism. But the government is not calling it those things. And now this young man, successfully defending himself, the other person incidentally and unfortunately died because life is lost.
Is this Sunday Jackson?
Exactly, Mr. Jackson. Life got lost. And then he was taken to court for murder. Not even manslaughter. When did he take time to plan to kill somebody? You were in your place and somebody came and attacked you. And you defended yourself. In the process, he got injured and died. Not even manslaughter. And then what was the ruling of the Supreme Court in sustaining the death sentence, in upholding it? That, yes, he stabbed you. You should have fled. Is it not absurd? You are telling me that somebody who hit me, demobilized me, he stabbed him on the leg, he couldn't run, that instead of desperately defending myself, including trying to stop by every means the person who wants to kill me, that I should have run, whether I could run or not. Therefore, I must die. Now, if you are, it's outraged Nigerians. Look at what is happening in Benue. Look at what is happening in Southern Kaduna. Look at what is happening in Enugu, Uzuwani, different parts of the West, including Edo State, kidnappers, herdsmen. I have seen videos of farms. People invested so much and they were all destroyed. So and somebody will tell you that so if we were seeing commensurate, now the government, they had to go and placate northerners. Who has placated the southerners that have been killed on sustained basis? Who have tried to give them justice? We're not even we are not even talking about justice from what has happened before. Who is even trying to give them protection? So, and you tell me that these actions or inactions will call for cohesion, national unity, and you tell me it will discourage people from self-help. You see, when you have confidence in the system, you follow the system. to seek justice. But when you have lost confidence in the system, and reasonably so, you discountenance the system, because nobody goes to where he will not get any results.
Right. On the case of the Supreme Court, I think one of the things they also mentioned is that the guy said in his narration, he said that he overpowered him and took the weapon from him, and that at that point he would have, you know, let go.
No, excuse me.
So
what are they even talking about? Overpowered him where? Overpowered an armed assailant who accosted you in your property, and then you should be very nice to a man whose intention was very inimical to your well-being, a man whose mission was to eliminate you, a man whose mission was to degrade you economically, a man who wanted his own business to thrive at the expense of yours. And the Supreme Court want all those niceties from me. No, he didn't come as a friend. He came as an adversary. He came as an enemy. He came as an attacker. And he actually perpetrated the action of attack. He wanted to kill him. And the man just took a natural, behaved in accordance with the natural law and natural dictates that anybody who is at the verge of losing his life will do everything, including stopping the person who wants to kill you by any means to survive. Okay? Now, look at, before now, I'm sure you must have heard about the case of Gideon Akaloka. He was killed under protective custody. He was in prison. A mob overran the prison, snatched him. But of course, I can tell you that even because of these complicities of the police, law enforcement, and all of that, they easily got him, beheaded him, put his head on a stake, and paraded the streets in a gory spectacle that they were enjoying. What did he do? That it was alleged that his wife used a sheet of paper to clean the child, and they said that he has desecrated the holy book. It wasn't Gideon Akaloka that did it, assuming and that it was true. They seized him for the alleged crime of his wife and killed him because he was an Igbo man. Okay? Look at the woman preaching in Kubwa. They killed him. There was even another case involving another Igbo woman in one of the state capitals of the north. A Muslim wanted to do ablution for his prayers. He left his own shop and came to the front of the shop to start washing his hands and feet, pouring water and messing the whole place. This woman said, please, don't do this here in the front of my shop. You can go elsewhere to do that. The man raised the alarm that he has blasphemed the holy prophet. And a mob gathered, seized her. Before you knew, she was dead. This happened a long time ago. Look at the case of Deborah Samuel. People were in a frenzy, showing matchbox that we are going to burn, we are going to set this lady ablaze, we are going to kill her. They saw them. Now let me ask you, is there anybody being prosecuted for that crime? And they justify that it was a blasphemy. If you are accused of blasphemy, put her through the process of defending herself. Today, those who accused her were those who passed judgment and those who executed the judgment. How fair is that? Who is calling for justice for her? And then people are telling us that if you don't come here to explain to us what happened to our people at Uromi, that you will kill everybody. For goodness sake, terrorism, violence, and all of this is not an exclusive preserve of any one particular people. That the government has actually tolerated, accommodated, encouraged, and officially caused all these things to thrive does not mean that the victims are happy and that the victims are willing to continue to suffer this. So what happened in Uromi, I want the government to use it as an indication of where Nigerians are. If care is not taken to give people justice, to discourage violence everywhere, to restore the sanctity of life in every space of the country, okay? It is not for anybody to come into anywhere and kill people, and every day we keep hearing 40 killed, 30 killed. These are Nigerians. These are people with families, with parents These are people who never went anywhere. These people ventured out with arms. They didn't commit any offense. But the issue is, can I do what they did? Can I even go with dagger? Can I travel from Enugu to my village in Soka with dagger? And the police will see me and not arrest me. But these people are entitled. You see, that sense of entitlement. I did my youth service in the north. I embraced the culture. I played the Fulani flute very well. If I had known, I would have brought it here. Very well. I ate their food. I integrated. I tried as much as possible to be part of what I was seeing around me during my time in service. But I can tell you that many of them, from my interactions, have grown through a system that have given them the kind of privileges that made them not to realize, to understand that what they are enjoying is actually at the expense of other people. That what they want to subsist is at the expense of other people's rights and privileges. You want to come to my house with a gun? Once you have a gun, look at some of those people which you see their photograph. Do you think that one-on-one that they can defeat any of their victims? It is armed. And nobody is doing anything. Let me tell you what my former senator, distinguished senator Echukwu Kautasi, told me. I'm mentioning his name. He said that there was a time, there was a plan in the National Assembly to come out with a law that will take all the firearms from the vigilante and the neighborhood watch, to disband them. That there was no alternative to what would be or become when these people are disarmed and disbanded. Okay? That somehow he got a whiff of it, stayed back. It wasn't scheduled for plenary. And when this matter was raised, most of our people had all left, and he had to stay back with a few others to vehemently resist it. You can invite him here to ask him about it. That you cannot, okay, if you take away the Dane gun these people are using to defend themselves, what are they going to use? So you can see a systematic policy of vulnerabilizing a people to become easy and soft targets for displacement.
But again, you can't really blame them, because, I mean, they tell you that it's their culture, it's a tradition, it's been there for a while. And then you also have the government who is refusing to do the...
No. It's their culture to be armed with AK-47. If they are talking about having knives, I mean cutlass, our farmers also use cutlasses. Yeah. If you are telling me about having cutlasses, fine. But in the first place, why should they be roaming? They want to be in the southeast, southern parts of Nigeria, to move from one place to the other, in a situation that, look at even the way Enugu is developing. Land is not available anymore for such practices. Yes. Why can't they be camped in one place and practice modern ranching? The government is frittering away, fighting all this insecurity that they really don't want to handle. If they can use it to establish thriving ranches all over the place, I mean, for them to stay.
We are closing now, but let's just, talk about it. From a historical perspective, ask yourself, who owns those cattle that they move around with?
It doesn't matter who owns them.
No, it doesn't matter to somewhere.
Yes, okay.
Because these guys don't have monies to buy cow. They don't have monies to buy that amount. I mean, that cow is not less than the cow that they carry around is not less than anything.
$1 million. No,
500,000, $1 million.
Yeah.
So it is still the elite, businessmen, politicians, those people who are up there. So if today they accept that ranching is the best way to go, those guys will be out of business. But
it means that their business is at the expense. The business thrives on the blood of the people.
The elites, not even them.
No. Of course, the elites are the enablers, and that is why they don't want to do anything about it. Because once there is reluctance from the official quarters to tackle anything, then you must know that people are the beneficiaries are still the same people that are in government.
But I think this talk should be directed to either the government officials or those
no. There are two issues here. That one is even the inferior reason for all of this. The main reason is that I can tell you, from being whispered, we saw everything that the Buhari government did to actually prove that rumor right, that there is a calculated intention to relocate certain people from all over West Africa into Nigeria. Do you understand? Because that is the only reason why the government will tenaciously pursue certain policies that look incongruous, policies that look somehow appalling, policies that look that will definitely instigate crisis, clashes, and then that will only happen when some people are being dispossessed, but the government wanted it by all means. I expect the current administration, if not that the politicians, will ignore the truth and fail to do what the situation requires, fail to rise to the occasion because of the ambition for a second term. I expect the current administration to go a long way in addressing some of these issues. But of course, politicians would know that doing certain things would always jeopardize their chances, and then they try to look the other way, and people keep dying. You see, yes, right. The call for justice for those 16 people killed in Uromi is in order. But it is not too late to also give justice to others who have been victims of injustice, those who are dying and still dying today as we speak.
Clashes.
Okay, if you are prepared, if the government wants, because that is what is now turning into North-South Africa. Now look at the responses of Northerners, like the man that is trending you talked about, who was given ultimatum and all of that. It was the same North that gave Igbos quick notice. If you do some of those things, it is not up to half of what some people from this way will do, maybe tweet or post in social media, and you see DSS clamping them down into detention. But they do it and have that free sense of entitlement. They are ignorant. They were raised to reason that way by the continuous practice of accommodating what shouldn't be accommodated. Justice doesn't know any color. Justice doesn't know any race. It doesn't know any sex. Justice is blind. If you do what is against the law of the land, you should go in for it. Right. But in this situation whereby people will do whatever atrocities, commit atrocities, and if it is not in the news, you will not hear it, and nothing will happen because those people are from one part of the country, and then the victims are from the other part of the country. It will never serve anybody's interest. It will continue to widen the chasm, the gulf of difference in our countries. It will continue to create more problems for us. It will continue to kind of brew more insecurity, and it will continue to make Nigerians hate themselves, because what should promote our unity, integration, and oneness is lacking, and the government is not doing anything to foster that, and it's unfortunate.
Right, that's the bit here. Wordshort, Amaechi, Ugwele. I mean, you really sound passionate about this particular issue, and I think it's something that we would still speak on a little later, because again, we have been hearing news and stories around Hamufu, the killings there, and the fact that farmers are very terrified thinking of their farmlands. They no longer go to the farms anymore. Like you mentioned, we must be holistic when it comes to these things. We shouldn't go to just this particular issue, but tackle the root cause of some of these issues, which, you know, would be everybody sticking to the plan of their business and making sure that your business doesn't infringe on my own business, and although your right doesn't infringe on my own right, as the case may be. Many thanks for your time. We truly appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.